All right. Welcome in. Well, sadly, unfortunately, in my hometown here of Tallahassee, we had another active shooting at Florida State campus. For those of you saying, what, two? Not two today, but previously back in 2014, they had what was known as an active shooter on the campus. That person ended up shooting. I think it was two people in the library before he was then killed by um, campus police. But today we had another incident in which we had an individual decide to go on campus. Not to make anything light of it, but it's been a beautiful day here in Tallahassee. For people that don't know, in the South, especially during the spring, it is as gorgeous as anywhere in the country at that time. Um, Mid 70s, you know, low 80s during the day. So you had a bunch of kids, I mean, we can just say kids and people on the campus just enjoying the day, enjoying the campus views, and you had an individual decide to take advantage of the situation. Um, I think it's started around noon from what it's being reported and from everything that we've seen. The individual was shot and or wounded and taken into custody. Apparently, he is the son of a deputy from Tallahassee with the Leon County Sheriff's Office. And he used one of her weapons. He had two. He had a shotgun and a pistol. I'm not sure which of the weapons were his mother's. It was his mother that is the deputy still. My guess would be it was probably the shotgun that was hers. But he's a 20-year-old individual, man, I guess you could say, even though I mean he's only 2 years past 18. Um, and he is a Florida State student. There's, as of this moment, at the time of this recording, there's been no motive. I'm sure we will find that out in the next 24 hours, but until that time, you'll have all the content jockeys making up their theories and going at it. I'm not going to go at it because I know nothing about this individual. Um, for me, where I work, I'm about, we can say about between 5 to 6 miles from the campus. The road in which I'm situated on is a main thoroughfare. It is basically, um, so Tennessee Street runs along Florida State campus and is right next to where the student union is. Um, as it continues down, Tennessee becomes Mahan. I work on Mahan, or off Mahan, I should say. So about noon, we started seeing and hearing fire trucks and paramedics go by, which isn't out of the ordinary. Where we're positioned, we are between a center. There's a fire station, and there's also a command center that holds paramedics, ambulances, some police cars, and whatnot. So daily we have sirens and whatnot going by. What made it different today was we about 3 or 5 minutes after the paramedics went through, highway patrolman came flying through. I mean, he was possibly doing 80, just flying. And then a minute after that, there's another one and another and another. And it was okay, something bigger has happened than normally what might have been like an accident or an emergency of that kind. There was something bigger that was going on. And for the next 30 minutes, that's all you had. You had was emergency vehicles flying down the road. Um, Here, I'm not sure if it's like that in any other state, but here, uh, maybe not in Florida, but I think in Florida, once an active shooter notification is put out, all law enforcement, even off-duty law enforcement that get the notification, um, are required to respond. So you not only had the local police, local deputies and sheriffs responding, you had state agencies, you had federal. Um, so you had FDLE responding, you had state troopers responding. You then also had a bunch of undercover cars of probably law enforcement that had been home or maybe that were out on patrol that were also reporting. There was a video of it looked like an officer on the campus walking up. She had an AR on her side. There was no magazine in it, and she looked like she was just wearing regular clothes. And I saw people like giving her hell about it and that whole DEI nonsense. But it was because she was off duty at the time and she responded on duty, um, or responded to the call. And by the time she probably got there, she was probably already notified that the shooter had been taken into custody. And that's why she was wearing just regular clothes, and that's why she didn't have a magazine in her assault rifle. I love these Monday morning quarterbacks that get online and on Twitter and whatnot and act like they know what's going on, even though they're 100 miles away. As quick as this situation started, it was over. Um, Florida State has their own police, they have their own campus police, and they engaged within the first couple minutes and dropped the shooter, or at least injured him to the point that no other harm could come to it. Now, like I said, he didn't have an AR, he didn't have a higher powered rifle at the time, so the casualty rate wouldn't have been as high as it might have been if he had an AR style rifle. Some of the reports that were coming out with students was that I guess he was at first shooting a shotgun, um, and either he was not hitting his targets or was not causing the damage that he thought it was, and so at that point he then switched to the pistol and started, shooting with his pistol. At that point, and that's when he was engaged by the campus police. Um, Here, unlike some people might say, in other circumstances, our authorities went to engage the position. They didn't go and hide. They didn't go, or they didn't say, no, no, let's wait until there's a calm. They basically assaulted the position and handled the situation before it got any more out of hand. Um, like I said, I'm born and raised in Tallahassee. I've been to Florida State campus. I didn't graduate from Florida State, so I won't say that. But I was born and raised here. I've been on the campus hundreds of times through my almost now 44 years of living here. The campus has changed drastically from when I was a kid. You used to be able to drive your vehicle right through and on campus because the way the roads were set up, it was more open of a campus at that time, and it was one of the things that, yeah, I mean, it was actually pretty nice about that campus is that you could just cruise if you wanted to, cruise down and just check out the campus, see the students hanging out and whatever. But over the last, especially the last 15 years, they've closed off the campus to vehicles. They've made it more, um, I wouldn't say isolated, but it's more set up for students. The issue beforehand was you'd have incidences where people, because it used to be going into one side of Florida State there with the church off Tennessee Street, there was a big hill that would go down onto the campus as you went through. And there were multiple times that you had wrecks and also students being hit by vehicles because there was a crosswalk there where the students would walk across and cars were supposed to stop, but drivers they wouldn't stop. So to curtail those incidences, they basically closed that campus off and made it more friendly for the students. So not only did that change, they changed the student union. The student union, from when I was a kid to my teenage years, and even when I was in college, um, it was the original student union that was built probably in the 60s or 70s. I mean, it was old. It, it was just old. So they put money, they invested, they made a better looking student union. Um, like I said, the campus is not as accessible to go on with vehicles, but it is to walk. It's great for if you're a student there. It's oaks, different types of trees that give you shade, and you'll have people that'll be on the green, land is green there, just relaxing. It's the perfect university at this time of the year, March, April, and May, when the weather's not bad, to just chill and relax out on. And unfortunately, we had somebody that decided to take advantage of it. Um, so going through some of the stuff on social media, I'll try not to. show the guy's face, the 20-year-old's face. It probably will happen as I'm scrolling through, but I'm not going to stop on it. But just to give you a little bit of insight, if you haven't seen of some of the stuff that was filmed here, just as you can see, authorities are already on campus, and at this
Oh
point,
my
they
god.
are um, this person's injured, don't know shot, don't know if maybe they were trampled. The way
Oh.
that they're reacting, I would think that this person probably was actually shot. I mean, because unfortunately, you do have situations where an active shooting where you have injuries sustained that weren't by the actual shooter, they were sustained by the panic, the mass ensue of people just running over people, people falling down and then getting stepped on, or people just having an episode like a panic attack that could lead to a more harmful situation. That individual seemed like they were moving and still uh, conscious on some level, so hopefully it wasn't a gunshot victim. Hopefully it was something lesser that they can recover quicker from. Not exactly sure. Um, so this is, I guess, part of the union. So this is he's saying this is them being escorted. Okay,
Fucking real, dude.
out of class. Okay, so they're being escorted out of class here. So this is just a bunch of students. As you can see, law enforcement is with them, just making sure. Of course, in today's world with technology, everybody's on their phone. You know, that's one of the good things about it is you can get in touch with your loved ones right away to let them know that you're okay instead of them having to wait needlessly for hours to determine what's going on. This individual, I think, works at the
Well, I mean,
union.
we were over in the loading bay right here next to it and started seeing everybody run. The maintenance guys were telling everybody to get out of the building. So everybody started coming out the back. And I mean, if they would have probably moved 20 feet further, they would have been on this side of the building, which is where he walked out. He came out.
The shooter?
Yeah, he came out this door right here, and then he saw the maintenance guy who was waving everybody, and I guess heard him probably, and turned and shot that way towards like our direction, towards him. There's a golf cart over here with a bullet hole in it.
Yeah, we got a picture of
that
it.
blocked
Yeah.
it. So that was meant for him. And then after that, he turned this way and started shooting out on the green. He didn't shoot many shots when he came outside. It was only like 4 or 5 shots, but he shot like 2 at our direction, and then he shot like 2 this direction, and that's the girl that got shot in the butt over here that was laying down for a while. They stretchered her off. She looked like she was alive, but I'm not sure. I hope that she is. But then he went back inside. I should have probably hid. I pulled out my phone and started videoing everything and came back out. I heard that there was a shotgun that never fired that they saw, so they had me looking in the bushes for a shotgun for a while.
And who's they? Have you like who?
The cops. The cops showed up very fast, like almost instantly. Tons and tons of cops showed up instantly. I mean, there were probably 20 cops within 5 minutes, just right there. But then, as well as the 100 that were out here.
Yeah. Did you see?
I mean, the fact that so at this time the campus was locked down, and the fact that he's out there standing and people are people even reporting out in this particular area shows that the scene was contained quickly, that the shooter was taken down quickly, and it was handled in probably a very what should I say? I don't want to say fantastic. Methodical, would that be? That's anyways, it was handled I guess almost perfectly. I'm sure there's going to be some people that could find things that shouldn't have happened. I'm sure people are saying, well, if he wouldn't be allowed to shoot, then it would have been a perfect situation. You have a point on that, but unfortunately we live in a world where people do shoot, so it's the response, because you can't stop an incident like this from happening if you don't know what's going to happen. If you do know what's going to happen and you don't say anything about it, shame on you for not stopping a situation like that. Um, but they had the campus locked down for a few hours, and there were people that, of course, when it's still locked down, you have people that just create in their own mind what's going on. Florida State is a huge campus. You have, I think it's possibly almost 40,000 students that go to this school. It is a little city on itself. Um, so when they lock it down, the entire campus goes on lockdown, and they will not take it off of lockdown until the cops have cleared the entire area so that they know, because you don't know if there's another active shooter or that's trying to blend in or wait or do whatever. So it takes a few hours. They're doing their due diligence on that. So that's why it took so long, because Florida State is a spread out campus. It is not something that's compiled on top of each other. It has spread out in the last 20 years. It has, I mean, it has almost become more of Tallahassee than what Tallahassee is. It has bought up more property and more real estate in Tallahassee, because for the longest time it was contained in a small area. Just, I mean, it was like a triangle shaped piece um, in the as a campus, and now it has spread out because they realized they needed to grow. So it is almost a third of the city of Tallahassee with the amount that it's growing. So that is why it took so long to take it off lockdown.
See many shooters, like multiple shooters? Or
I
just the
didn't
one?
see multiple. There was only the one that was in here, but what I've heard is that they had one at each entrance. So I think that like this was the guy on this side, and then there was probably one on that side and one on that side.
So nobody was going to get out, essentially.
Yeah, they had it planned. I mean, it seems like a coordinated thing. I mean, it was definitely coordinated.
And what were you doing here? Were you getting ready to go to the union? What was like? Were you just
No, I had
around?
just left. I was going to my car.
So you were just leaving?
Parked
then?
on
Wow.
parked on the service road right
How does
there.
that make you feel now? You kind of missed the bus?
Um. So yeah, I mean, in these situations, I know there's a lot of talk about on gun control, and that's actual video of. Okay, so we're going to get into two things here. One, the video up top, which I'm not going to get into, shows a victim on the ground, and it also shows the shooter walking and just shooting. I don't know if he was actually hitting anything or just shooting, but you had people running that were not hit, and he was just so a this video appeared on social media of this girl with a Starbucks cup walking on the campus, and as she's walking, she films a victim on the ground. Now, having said this, it has been determined that the woman that's on the ground, she was shot, but she also survived and is going to survive. There's a later video out there of her being receiving medical attention from a campus police officer, and she's moving and talking to the police officer, and the reports are that she survived. But this person here, and it's not this individual. Sorry, I'm trying to point with my finger like you can see. Not this individual here, but the individual that filmed this thing filmed this woman laying on the ground and put the camera on them and just took a sip of their Starbucks and kept walking and stopped filming. Didn't check to see if the person was still alive. Didn't check to see if the person needed help. Didn't think that maybe I shouldn't film this. This is the world we now. This is this generation. This generation is more worried about filming the content, which bothers me, because if you're comfortable filming a victim of a violent act, or if you're comfortable filming somebody getting beat up and not stepping in and not trying to stop the situation, something in your brain disconnected long ago. And honestly, you should probably be charged. What is that Seinfeld episode in the finale where they were charged because they sat there watching a pedestrian get mugged, and I think Kramer even films it, and they just sit there and make jokes, and then they end up getting arrested because there was a law passed that if you see somebody in trouble as a person seeing this happen, you're supposed to help. And they didn't, and they got arrested, and I think it was like at the end of it was they were put in jail for a year. We might be getting to that point in society where laws have to be enacted, and I know you're thinking that's wild and crazy, but laws need to be enacted that if it's safe, if the place is secure, if you can provide care, or if you can stop a situation from happening, you should stop it from happening, or at least not film it. If you're not going to get involved, don't film it. I know there's a lot of people saying, well, hey, if they film it, there's evidence of this taking place, and that is true. But at the same time, if you could stop in and prevent it from even happening, you wouldn't need that evidence. Um, in this case, yeah, whoever this individual is, first off, I believe they showed their face, and I'm pretty sure it was on Snapchat or something. So people are gonna figure out who this person exactly is. They're gonna be doxxed, and this person's life will change forever for being a piece of crap for trying to make content in a very serious situation. Um, so yeah, there's a scene that's the killer. Here's some more footage of course, the students walking away. I don't know what part of campus this is on, but it seems like they're fairly um, far away from the particular incident. Um, but as you can see, and I'm not trying to make light of it, it was a gorgeous day out here in town. We are in our here students as they were sheltering, which this is the aspect of it. So the incident was already over, and I get again that they have to do their due diligence to make sure that there aren't any more out there. Um, but unfortunately, these individuals were still sheltering when the incident was already over, and they're recording and probably being put in a panic state when they don't need to anymore. But that's what it's about. Now, I did hear some stories about there were there were some individuals that went to in the school slips my mind down in Miami in the high school that was shot up in 2018. Florida State, it gets a lot of kids from Miami that come up here to go to school. Um, you might ask why? Why are they going from Miami to Florida State? Like a large majority of kids that graduate from Florida State are from South Florida, and that has to do with admissions. Miami is a private school; their admission standards are higher. Florida State is a public school, and their admissions are not as high. So you have kids that maybe might not make it to the private school level that end up coming up here to Florida State. So you had a bunch of kids. You've had a few kids. I think that they said it was at least two or three that were part of that school shooting down at the high school in South Florida in 2018 that were also. And I'm not laughing because I think it's funny. I'm laughing because it just the crazy irony of it. They were also at Florida State campus when this one occurred. Now I don't know if they were at the student union or if they were in class or where they were, but there's at least three individuals that had been a part of that one and were now a part of this one, which is completely wild and completely nuts. Um, as you can see here, the update is that two people were killed. Um, at one point, so I have a family member that works for TPD, and at one point there were reports coming out that it was four people dead, possibly 15 injured. Then of course you had this is news agency in Orlando. I can't remember who it was, like WF I don't know, something like that. They just flat out put out that six people were dead and 30 people were injured, and that ended up not being true. And they didn't come back later and go, "Oh wait, our mistake. We were wrong. It's actually this." They just basically deleted the tweet and put up a new one. So shame on that Orlando news agency for reporting something that didn't happen. That to me is low. That's you just trying to garner clicks on your social media, and that's low, especially for journalists. But it's down to two. We don't know the severity of the others that are wounded. There are also reports saying that the two that were killed are not students, that they possibly were employees. Can't confirm that, but that's what's being reported at the moment. Um, Again, we can put this if you haven't seen the a little bit of the press conference, we can put that on here.
And we understand that you all have been devastated because of this person's actions. The question as it relates to who is the shooter is 20-year-old Phoenix Eckner.
Now, again, the local law enforcement, they did something that you very rarely see. They announced the name of the individual, and I think it was to get in front of this because it was determined that it was a son of one of their employees in a an authority figure here in town, and so I think they did this to get in front of it instead of not saying anything. Because if you don't say anything and you hide that, and people find out that it was it was a son of a law enforcement, then you have the whole people beginning to throw out those weird conspiracy stuff. So they went ahead and jumped in front of it in this case.
And he's a son of a Leon County Sheriff deputy. Our Deputy Eichner, has been with the Leon County Sheriff's Office for over 18 years. She has a tremendous job that she's done. Her service to this community has been exceptional. Unfortunately, her son had access to one of her weapons, and that was one of the weapons that was found at the scene. And we are continuing that investigation into how that weapon was used and what other weapons perhaps he may have had access to.
So the other thing about this is, and just a weird coincidence, TPD was doing a tactical training just downtown of Tallahassee, off South Adams, which is about a mile, maybe mile and a half away from the Florida State campus, just to the south. There was a notice put out not only by TPD but also by the local news agencies yesterday and this morning that starting at noon until I think about 6 in the afternoon, the SWAT teams and the tactical teams were going to be doing training in like a warehouse area. That you would hear booms, you would hear pops, you would hear sirens. And not to be alerted that this was just the tactical team going through training. It just so happened to coincide with the exact time that the shooting started, which some people are beginning to wonder if this guy knew, and which he probably did, that this stuff was going on, and possibly tried to use that as a bit of confusion, because there have been some students that said they were aware that this training was taking place downtown, and so you had a bunch of people that heard the noises and thought it was part of the tactical training and didn't do anything at first until people were running. At the same time, you had your SWAT team already in gear, already basically set up and ready to go. Once they got the call, they basically took a 2-minute drive to the campus and were on the campus within the first 2-3 minutes. So you can take that plus or minus either way, as far as the confusion, but also having your SWAT team already in gear, ready to engage. Just one of those things that just happened to occur. Again, either way, you can take it plus or minus.
Following and amid that, is there any changes that you want to see to gun legislation? Anything you see broken with gun laws?
Okay, so this is just getting into gun laws. Listen, I know this is when it gets off topic, the gun laws and all that stuff like that. I'm all for the Second Amendment, but there definitely should be some restrictions on the guns that are being sold. This is just me personally. You can attack me for it. You can whatever. You have your own opinion about it. For me personally, I don't think civilians and regular people should own assault rifles. They are weapons of war. To me, I laugh and just turn my nose up to individuals that say they need assault rifles to hunt. I have people who hunt in my family. Um, they, to my knowledge, don't own assault rifles, have never hunted with assault rifles. The only stuff that they hunt with are shotguns, are chamber pistols, or excuse me, not chamber pistols, chamber rifles, or 30-aughts, or bow and arrows or crossbows. And that's all you need to take down game: turkey, quail, deer, hog, whatever you're hunting. So for these guys that sit there and say, "Well, I need a 50 round AR to help me take down a deer," you are a garbage shot if you need 50 rounds to take down a deer. If you need more than, I'll say, if you need more than 5 to take down a deer, let's say you hit the wrong spot on the deer and you have to, because you're supposed to shoot at the heart, because you take the heart on the deer, they're done. Um, but you have people that are bad shots. That excuse, I think, is ridiculous. For the ones that try to play that whole game, well, assault weapon doesn't actually mean it's an assault. Assault weapons were created by the military to produce mass casualties. They were designed after the Russian AK-47. They were designed either around World War II or even a little after, and it was to help the military inflict more wounds on the enemy in a faster amount of time, because after World War One and World War Two, um, there were very few machine guns being used. You had light machine guns that were a two-man crew most of the time. You had people with Tommy guns that were out running around, but those weren't accurate, only probably from mid to close range. So you had the military that wanted to have a gun that could inflict wounds at any distance, mass amount of casualties to help the military. They were invented to assault. And the term assault weapon is because you are the assaulting party. You are the one that's assaulting a designated area. If your enemy is here and your assault group is moving in, you're assaulting and you have the assault gun to use. So these high round assault rifles were made for that. They were not made for civilian use. And I'm sure we got people out there going, well, it's my right to protect myself from my government. Um, okay. One, if the government ever decided to attack their own people, they first wouldn't do it through just shooting straight up. First, they're going to militarily put themselves in position. Secondly, they're going to go after individuals that they know have certain weapons like that and take those individuals into custody. If those individuals catch on and go into a holding or into a spot where they bunker themselves up, they're just going to drop a missile or a bomb on you. Your gun's not going to do anything for you. If you have not seen already in other areas around the world, militaries just bomb the crap out of things first before they go in with their guns. If you happen to survive the bombing, then good luck with you. Good luck with you. And unless you have the updated technology with um, armor and also being able to see at night and whatnot, you're not going to last long. So that whole thing of defending yourself against the government as if you're still fighting guys in muskets that are going to stand out in the middle of the field and reload their gun is kind of ludicrous. People have been using that for the last 100 years that the government still might take over and try to take it, and it hasn't. Um, so for both hunting and the government taking over, I think are two of the weakest, two of the weakest things that you could use as a defense in that case. You have people that collect. I understand that a little more. People that collect guns. Um, to me personally, I think if you're going to collect them, you definitely should keep them secure. You definitely should not have your ammunition in a spot where they can be accessed easily. In fact, if you're just going to collect and never fire them, why even buy bullets to begin with? Just have them for show. I'm a little okay with that. But we have passed, I should say, we have passed the point where assault rifles and weapons of mass casualties just need to be looked at. And I'm sure there's going to be an argument of, well, anybody that has a good sense and knows how to shoot can can inflict as much damage as an assault rifle. That's not true. That's just not true. Um, let's say you have two pistols, and let's say you have the clips that cause it to fire automatically. Um, One, unless you are out every day practicing with that thing to where you can keep a stone cold grip on it, those things are going to kick on you, and you might spray left and right, and you're going to hit some people, but the accuracy with those are not going to be there. Secondly, you're then going to have to reload. And with the amount of time now that cops respond, where they respond fast now because they don't want another Texas incident, the ULAD Texas incident, so they're responding right away. you're not going to have time to inflict as much damage as you would if you showed up with an AR, with a bump stock, or with a clip that holds 30 or 40 rounds, and you can sit there and you can aim down sight and hit your target that you're going after with very minimum kick, with especially how these guns are made. For the ones that are saying with rifles, again, a rifle, you either have to chamber the chamber next round either by bolt action or hand underneath, whatever it may be. You can't cause the same amount of casualties as you could with an automatic a gun. Then you have people that might say, well, what about the Mac 10s and whatnot? Same situation. Um, I do believe most people have gone numb to this, and I do, within a week, people will have forgotten about this. Unless you're in that community, unless you're in that area, they'll have forgotten about it. And I'm sure some are saying that at least the casualties are low, which, yes, at least the casualties are low. This guy, he's 20 years old, fortunately did not have a weapon that could have caused extreme mass problems, mass damage. He obviously was a bad shot, thankfully. Um, and with the pistol, unfortunately, killed the two people, injured the five, but it could have been a lot worse. It could have been a horrible situation. You think I was in my senior year when Columbine happened in '99, and that was a wake up call at that point because the way that was covered, the way that was so handled, that going back to school, even here in Florida, you felt different. Like it was weird, and we ended up having some girl that said something stupid that she was going to shoot up our school, and guess what happened to her? She had the local police visit her, and of course, then she said, no, it was a joke. I didn't really mean that. But for the rest of the school year, a resource officer or a coach from the school walked to and from with her to every class she went. So she became very friendly, very friendly from that point on. Um, the one that really should have woken people up was when all the elementary school kids were killed up in New England. And the fact that that didn't do anything is just going to tell you what's going to happen in the situation. Nothing's really going to be done from the situation. I do worry about this generation, though. I do worry not only from the filming incidences and not trying to stop it or thinking maybe this isn't the best thing to film, but also the fact that you now have a generation where it's just easy to just decide shoot people. Let's just go shoot people and not have that consciousness of, is this the best thing to do to myself? Is this the best thing to do to other people? Is this the best thing to do in life? Um, Everybody, I mean, at some point, is sitting there, thinks at some point in life comes to the thought that they could harm somebody, whether it's physically punching, slapping, kicking, um, tackling. Um, I'm not going to say stabbing or shooting. If you're thinking about stabbing or shooting somebody, you need to talk to somebody. But you get to that point to where you sit there and go, is it really worth causing physical harm to this person? And the majority of people go, no, it's not worth it. It's just not. And after a day, you're not even thinking about it anymore. You've moved on with your life. The fact that you now have a generation that is okay with inflicting damage, which is okay in killing people without a second thought, without sitting there going, maybe I need to get help, maybe I need to talk to somebody, is a little unnerving. You have a disconnect. And I'm sure some people are going to say it's because of religion. I'm sure some people are going to say it's because of guns. Because it's probably everything. And it's probably not any of that at all. What I would say to any individual that is thinking of the best thing to do is shoot somebody, I want you to take a deep breath. I want you to really think on this. And I want you to have a conversation with somebody in your family or with somebody you don't know. And not over text, not calling face to face. And explain to that individual where your mindset is at that point. Because you will find out that people actually do care for you out there and they don't want you to do these certain situations. or they might talk you down from a cliff and say you're getting fed the wrong information, because everybody lives in bubbles now. Everybody is so focused on their own thing. They're stuck in a bubble, and they don't want to listen to what anything else has to say. It just bounces off. But calm yourself down enough, or get to a point to where you have a conversation with somebody to try to get you some help, to try to get you back on track, to where your final thought isn't, yeah, I need to end people's lives here. Yeah, I need to go ahead and do this. And also, taking your own life is not the answer. Um, Especially when you're 20 years old. This is it's just stupid to do something at this age. You have your whole life ahead of you, and every year is different. You might not think that now when you're at a young age because everything seems the same, but you tend to look back, especially when you get in your 30s and 40s, and realize that every year is different, every month is different, every week, every day is different. And then you get on that mindset that everything is different from the previous day before, the previous week, month, or a year before, you'll have a better outlook in life. So you need to get out of your bubble that everything's bad, that everything is horrible, that this and that. If you're stuck in that, go talk to somebody. If that person is not helping you or not giving you the help you need, find somebody else. But don't get to the point to where you feel that shooting people, killing people, or yourself is the answer, because it's not. Life is much better. Life is too short to really put yourself in those situations. So get off the internet, as I've told everybody. I think on every little cast I do here, stay off the damn internet. Re-engage in the world. Go outside. Do something that entertains you, that scares you, that makes you feel good, and enjoy life. As I always say, hey, stay alive, find that good earth, and dig it. Later.